Hello, rocket makers. It's been a while since I posted a video, so I figured it's time. As you can see, the Saturn V is progressing. It's actually stacked to its full height here now, with the exception of the launch escape system. I haven't shown you much of what's been going on here because a lot of it has been just, CAD work. Currently working on the engine shrouds, and there's some details on the sides here, so that's ongoing. I'll post some designs for this hopefully by the end of the weekend, but I've been notoriously slow on that. I will be cutting fins this weekend and doing a bunch of other things, which brings me to the point of this video. A lot of the work that's been going on here the last couple of months has been settling into the new location, getting the new workshop organized, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So stay tuned. First up on the Grand Tour, my soldering workstation. Still a work in progress. As you can see, it's currently set up for the cluster controller for the Saturn 1B, and that will be the topic of a separate video. But as configured, it is set up for SMD rework, and I've not done SMD before, so that is going to be a very fun project. Next on the list is the computer. So this is an old dual processor 4-core Opteron for a total of 8 cores that I bought in 2007. So that makes it about 13 years old now. It's gone through a number of upgrades since. I've recently upgraded the memory, bought a new larger monitor, new video card, and changed the cooling fans, which was a pretty major upgrade for this machine. When it was running, it sounded like a jet engine taking off, which did not make it useful for the living room. So I got a fan upgrade. The problem is the connections for the fan to the motherboard aren't manufactured anymore. So I got creative and made my own using 3D printing. So rather than spend $60 per unit for a mounting bracket, I spent about $2 in 3D printed parts. Including prototypes. Now those prices may seem high, but I'm in Canada, not the US, and that's what it would have cost to get it here, even though you can get it for under $10 in the US. So welcome to Canada. And I've got a new camera. Now this is fresh out of the box, so I haven't used it yet, and it will not be used for this video, but hopefully it will be useful for videos coming up. It was a very inexpensive option. Long-term goal is to get some proper DSLR setups, but this will certainly do for now. Okay, so I had this amazingly brilliant idea about clamping a vertical pole, in this case a piece of PVC pipe, to the legs of my table. I have a clamp at top and bottom. And this extends high over my work surface, which would allow me to put a vertical bar over top of my work and to that vertical bar attach a Raspberry Pi camera. All good in theory, except there's just way too much play. This is nowhere near stiff enough. We would have constant vibrations in the camera. So, a good idea, but back to the drawing board. I'll have to use a different material for the vertical pole. Yeah, my rocket shop still looks a lot like this. There's a lot of organization that needs to happen. And one of the things that was holding me back was shelves. I have some shelves. So expect more of these. The K40. Yes, this is a laser cutter. I have big plans for this. And certainly most of the work that went into the shop up to now has been on the K40. So let's cover some of the changes and upgrades. I had to trim the fan to get a more usable area so I can raise and lower. I got a lab lift. So the lab lift allows me to manually raise and lower the height of the material I'm working on. Okay, I don't have a lot of range, but I do have some. A rather feeble air assist, and again that'll be upgraded as I go along. I've wired in a new exhaust fan, much better than what was there previously. The hose actually has to go out the window. Yeah, I'll work on mounting something there. On the back, I have a 3D printed exhaust port, and I've used some cork bought at the dollar store to create a gasket. For my air assist, I tried a simple blower fan. Unfortunately, this doesn't produce a whole lot of air, primarily because the back pressure just overwhelms the blower. So I am going to need a more conventional air compressor for this, but it was cheap. I tried it. It gives me some, but I need better. It fits nicely on the shelf, and underneath I have a tub for all the cooling water. Control is done with a really old laptop running Linux, and it's more than sufficient for the task. As a base for the laser cutter, I tried trimming a cookie sheet that is meant for cooling cookies, but attaching it to the lab lift is proving a little bit challenging. There are bolts for the surface, but the nuts underneath are loose, so unfortunately there's no place to get your fingers under to attach that. Some cable ties, obviously. I tried it, of course, because I had to, but yeah, the laser likes cutting cable ties as much as it likes cutting wood, so they only lasted a couple of passes. I've added a second power supply here on the left that powers the blower, the air assist, and so on. So this was needed to add just a little bit more power. I didn't want to take it directly from the laser cutter power supply, and I had some different voltage needs, so I put in a brand new power supply. That's one mighty sweet coaster.